Hey, good morning, it's Guido, and we got a supplemental coffee talk because you can see there on my screen that the Caernarvon Action X, Caernarvon, with the Fear Not. That is the special camo you'll get if you finish all 10 of the missions. We'll get to that. I'm going to tell you about how you're going to do the missions. I'm even going to do a down and dirty review of this tank right here. This is the test account that I have access to. So no, I have not bought it, nor have I won it already, but here it is. I played it I don't know, 3 times or so, but I got a down and dirty review for it. But before we do that, let's go over how you're going to win this thing. Okay, first stop, we're going to check out the website here, and it's got the details already up. This has been up for about a day and a half, maybe 2 days. So you can win the Caernarvon Action X. There it is, spinning around, just like I showed you right there. It's similar to the Italian challenge. We'll go over some of the details when we get into the garage, but it's basically a big grind. Okay, yeah. Surprise, it's a marathon. Some of the details in the tank, pretty good actually. I like this a bit. 230 average damage. Penetration is 226 with 258 gold. That's really good for a tier 8 actually. The standard pen is enough for anything at tier 8 really. And 258 helps it handle the higher stuff. Dispersion's nice at 3.2, but we'll go over all those details. It's a pretty good tank. We'll go over all those. It's going to start today, the 14th, so you're looking at 0900 Central Time. CDT is what we're currently in, and goes to the 28th. The 28th is not going to count because you can see that it ends at 0900. So obviously the morning, early morning of the 28th, but then there's the reset in there, and that's a Friday as well. So there'll be a big reset for whatever missions are coming in. So probably realistically, you're going to lose an hour, 30 minutes in there before 0900. So you're going to have to plan accordingly, and obviously, depending on your time zone, that will change what you can do there. But there it is. That's 14 days, and Math in Public says it is 280,000 experience, which is about 20,000 a day. That's a lot. We'll talk about that as we go. Endurance race, or you can do it at tier 10. Again, details coming up. Here's a couple things that you need to know. First, fast track means you can buy it, just like they always do. My concern here, though, is this little guy right here that says special discount bundle. They don't mention in here that you can buy it just as the tank. We'll see. I hope they don't do it that way, but just like the Progetto, it's 10% off per tier or phase, or whatever you want to call it. There's 10 tiers or phases to the challenge. I'll show you that in a minute. Each one of those you complete is 10% off, up to 90% off, and then of course if you get to the 10th, it's a free tank and it shows up in your garage. So that's actually a good deal. But my concern is that it's only off of a bundle, and I hope they only sell the tank. I don't know any right now, because guess what this little guy right here does? So it's oh man, which makes sense because it's not out yet, right? They put the link in and then it goes to wouldn't you put a screen up that says not active yet or something like that instead of just page not found? I don't. Does it say that? Maybe it does say that. Hold on, let's see here. Page does not exist, or the, yeah. Anyway, that's awesome. Okay, so that is the website. Let's go ahead and jump into the stuff in the client and talk about how this thing goes down. All right, like I said, this is the camo, the special camo you'll get. Fear not. There's a lion on one side, and there's a unicorn of all things on the other side. Does that have something to do with Britain? I don't really know. Anyway, it's in missions. And it's an event, and it says British Challenge. We're loading in. There we go. All right, 14 days, 280,000 experience. X number of experience. We'll go through this. We'll trip each, what do they call it? Stage. All right, so they're calling it stage. There is another way to do it. All right, this is anything from tier 6 and above for the marathon part. For the not marathon part, whatever they call it, is tier 10 only, and there's special things you have to do. So obtain the high caliber award one time. So if you do the high caliber award one time at tier 10, then you'll trip stage 1, and it gets progressively harder. Okay, high caliber at tier 10, somebody can probably do that within a few games, but I pretty much guarantee you're going to get 3,000 experience first. Now realize the experience is base XP, which is the number that you see on the list after you have the battle, not the number you see on your total on the front part of the battle results, nor is it the number that you see with all the bonuses, such as reserves, premium, yada yada, on the third page of your results. So the big list where everyone's name is and you can sort it by XP, that's it. That's all you got. I average probably somewhere close to 1,000. So that's about 280 battles no matter what I do. Doesn't matter if I'm premium, doesn't matter if I burn a reserve. That's the way it sounds and the way it reads right now. We'll have to wait till 9 o'clock this morning to find that out, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to roll, which means it's quite a grind for the casual. Now the good news is a non-premium player and a premium player get the exact same amount of experience to this, so there's no benefit to it. So for the free-to-play people, it's the same exact marathon as the premium playing people. So that's stage 1, 3,000 experience. And I told you it goes up, right? So we go to stage 2, now it's 6,000 experience, and it goes all the way up to 50,000 to get to stage 10. But if you then divide that out over the 14 days, like I said, 280,000, 14 days, 20,000 experience a day. Obviously you can do more. It's not time limited or day limited. You could do it all in one day. I don't know how you would, but I suppose it's possible if you sat down and ground this thing out in 1 day or 2 days. People will do that. You're going to see probably some people just do a challenge to go through the whole thing as fast as possible. Now, before we get too much into that, let's break that down a little bit on how you would want to do this. This second stage you have to 5 times block 4,000 damage. You are going to get 6,000 experience well before you go to tier 10 and block 4,000 damage 5 times. So there's a bit of a disconnect. A bit of a disconnect here on the developers and the guys who set this thing up. I'm not sure they understand their game too well. That's very strange. But to some extent, you have to say, all right, well, what do I personally average? You have to ask yourself that. I'm being generous, probably saying it's 1,000, average 1,000 a game. But I'm just going to use that for easy math. That gives me 280 games to get through this thing. 20 games a day or more if I try to sprint. For someone who's not as skilled, you may be looking at 500 to 700 a day, and that increases the number of games a lot. So it's potential to go, well, maybe I can do this before 6,000. If I'm only averaging 500 a game, then that's 12 games, math in public. And at tier 10, I should be able to do that 5 times in 12 games. But then you have to say, well, can you really? I mean, if you're only averaging 500 experience a game, are you really going to go to tier 10 and block 4,000? Which is a considerable amount. I mean, it's not an amazing amount, but you have to actually then go out and look and try to block 4,000 damage, as opposed to just go play the game, knock out your experience, and keep on going. So you can. I'm going to just do the experience. I don't play too much tier 10. But if you're really going to maximize your possibilities here, you're going to play only tier 10. If you trip it each stage by experience, that's perfect. If you happen to get it done a little earlier with these stages that aren't the marathon piece or the endurance piece, then that's great. You can move on. So 2 ways to do it, really. For me, I'm just going to play whatever I want to play, and we'll get the experience. I would probably stay away from the lower-ish tiers. 6 might be okay, but I tend to get more experience from 7 and up. 6 is, if you look at your average experience on your tanks, that'll give you a good idea, right? My tier 6 tanks tend to have a lower average experience, just because I'm assuming the hit point pool and the things you can do as far as on the lower tiers, they just plain old get less experience. So I think the sweet spot's probably 7 to 9, and 9 may actually be about the best you can do, so that you don't get into those all tier 10 battles, things like that. That's something you're going to have to decide on your own right there. For me, what I'm going to do is I'll play 6 to 10. I play whatever I want, because my overall plan is to get as high as I can on the stages and then make the decision at the end to buy. The important thing about buying is apparently the discount's going to be available for 2 days past the marathon. I never trust that kind of stuff with wargaming, because things get messed up and their dates get off. casting aspersions. I'm just saying if you wait to the last day and it changes a little bit, you might be left out. So by the time you get to that last day and you know you're not going to make it, I would pull the trigger if you're planning on buying that thing. All right, so stage 2, back to that. Now let's go to stage 3. It's up to 12,000, and you need 5 top player in your team by damage 5 times at tier 10. I mean, you have to be honest with yourself. I don't know. For me, top damage at tier 10, how many games would that take? I'm going to be honest, probably 30. Probably easily 30 games before I was top damaged 5 times. So be honest with yourself. 12,000 seems a lot easier for me. Now, you are getting things as you go. I didn't talk about it too much. Some kits down here. You've got 100,000 and some crew boosters. That's good. Some boosters coming out. And another 100,000 and some more boosters. And we go to tier 4, stage 4. Getting a day of premium. You're getting you need 24,000. You're getting some equipment. That's actually a pretty good deal right there. That equipment's fairly expensive silver-wise. And you need 10, at least 850 base experience 10 times. All right, now that is something that I might do before I play 24 games at tier 10. So it's a possibility when I get to there, I'll go, let me do this stage at tier 10 and see if I can't trip this faster than 24,000 experience. And 24,000 experience is probably going to come pretty quick anyway. At tier 10, 850 is high, but really not that high. You can be easily in the top 5, 6, maybe 7, depending on how well your team did in experience, and get 850 at tier 10. So definitely a possibility. Going on to stage 5. Oh, editing is so much fun. Got a phone call back there. Stage 5. All right, 30,000 experience on stage 5. Cause at least 4,500 damage 10 times. Okay, 10 times 4,500 damage, that's quite a bit. That's a pretty good game, even at tier 10. So, again, be realistic with yourself. Are you going to do that 10 times before you play 30 or 40 games? I don't know. Again, if you're doing just pure tier 10s, then it trips, that's good. But if you're going, well, I'm going to save myself time. I'm going to play tier 10s, and I'll do this faster than the 30,000. Well, eventually you're going to trip the 30,000, right? So I guess that's one way to look at it, but don't be mad that you didn't get it, because that's a considerable hurdle right there. Let's move on to stage 6. High caliber 5 times. That's actually not too hard, and probably you can do that in 35 games. I mean, think about that. We're at 35 games. That's averaging 1,000 experience. That's quite a bit. So you might be able to do that tier 10 wise right there. You're going to get 250,000 and some credit boosters, and those are the 50% ones. Those are nice. Get to 7, we need 15 times as a top player by experience. Top player by experience. How many times do I do that? If I'm honest, 5 to 8 games, I guess. Maybe, let's call it once every 10 games. Let's say I do it once every 10 games. Now remember, this is win or lose. So you still have the opportunity on a loss to knock this out. And you have to be, which I haven't mentioned, in the top 10. So a bottom 5 finish gives you no experience out of it. You have to be in the top 10 for it to trip. In the case of this, you need to be number 1 to trip one of the 15 times you need that. So this is a possibility, but I think if you're realistic, you're not going to be 15 times top experience in 35 games. At least I don't think I would be. That's up to you to look at. This is Royal Hunter camo, not the camo I showed you. The one I showed you, Fear Not, is actually the tier 10 prize. One of them. All right, so this stage for 8, can't count in Roman numerals, 40,000 experience, and we need to be in the top player by damage 20 times. Again, that's about the same as experience for me. That's about the same for experience. Again, losses count, so that's actually good, but you need to do that 20 times. You're going to get a day of premium, 500,000. We're going to get some experience and another 50% boosters. That's pretty darn good. And you can see that the experience requirement is just going up and up. 45,000. That's 45 battles. 90 battles if you're a 500 experience guy. That's a lot of grinding. Or you have to be 20 times 850 base experience. 45 battles for me to do that. 20 times 850. I might trip that before the 45 battles, maybe, but I don't know. That's going to be close. That's going to be close. And then for the last stage, you're going to get the tank. Obviously, a slot The crew, which is, I understand, a 0% crew, comes with Brothers in Arms, a 0 skill crew. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been able to suss that one out, whether it just has Brother in Arms already trained or it's a 0 skill Brothers in Arms. And then it's got the Fear Not camo that's going to come with it as well. Or 50,000 experience. Well, you do that with 50,000 experience. Or top player in the team by experience earned 20 times. Again, the same discussion I had earlier about being honest whether you can do that or not. And that is pretty much it for the challenge and what you've got to do. Let's run that down. It's by base experience. You have to be in the top 10. Win or loss, doesn't matter. It takes 280,000 experience, which should be about, I keep saying about, but it is 20,000 a day if you average it out. One thing to think about when you start doing your averages, remember that any games less than the top 10 XP gives you 0 for that game. That's an extra game. That's more time you spent trying to do this. It's an extra game it took you to try to do it when you start looking at how many games it's going to take. Even I am outside of the top 10 every now and again. So that will happen as you go along. And that is pretty much it. So now I'm going to do a quick review of the Caernarvon Action X. All right, as far as review goes, like I said, this will be down and dirty. I'm not going to do the whole full-blown thing right now. Here's the tank. It's as big as other tanks. It looks essentially like the other British tank, the Caernarvon, right? It's the Action X, which has some extra armor thrown on the turret and strapped around it. Let's just look at a review really quickly, a comparison, because this is actually interesting. I did put the Caernarvon there, and I put some other premiums, just so you can look at other premiums there as well. 230 damage is low, even the Caernarvon's at 280, so quite a low average damage per shot. Pen is better base than the Caernarvon, and is comparable to the rest of these guys. Not quite low levels, but not bad. Rate of fire is quite quick. All right, this is a fast reloading gun. Dive down here, though, and while the DPM is good, it's not Caernarvon good. Look at that Caernarvon. The Caernarvon's at 2,696. I bet you didn't know that. That's a hidden gem right there. But it's well above the rest. Look at the rest of these guys. The rest of these premiums are terrible. The T26 is the only thing that even comes close. So 2,400 on a premium, what, 226 base pen and 250 something with gold? Holy cow, that's good. There's the reload time, 5.66, fast. Faster slightly than the Caernarvon. Turret traverse is nice, fast as anyone. Holy cow, look at this. -10 depression with a great turret. I'll get to the turret armor in just a minute. 2.21 aiming time. That's quick. That's quick. And it's right up there with the other Caernarvon and with the T26. 0.31. Actually, I don't know why that's 0.31, because I'm pretty sure I've taken everything off of the crew. Maybe it's because the crew's 100% and the commander bonus adds a little bit to it. So that's possible there. It said 0.32, I thought, on the website. But anyway, it doesn't matter whether it's 3.1 or 3.2, it's good. 3.1 and 3.2 are very good. 1,500 hit points is a good hit point pool for that level. And let's look at this armor, because this is where it starts to shine. 254 in the turret. The Caernarvon also has the same turret. That's fantastic. The object's at 250, so the AMX M449 at 250. So all of those are known as strong turreted tanks, good hold down fighters. And then you can toss on top of this guy the -10 depression, and you've got a really good, especially for the way this game is played right now, hold down, hiding behind things. This tank's going to do it. And you're not too bothered that you're only pumping out 230 because you fire so fast and you've got a 2,400 DPM. I'm not going to come out and say this thing's overpowered, but it feels a little stronger than it probably should be. 152 on the whole armor. On the turret armor on the side. What? That's what? I think that's the extra armor piece, so it's not the whole turret. You'd have to look. I'm not going to look at the 3D model, but that's pretty crazy. 130 on the whole is pretty good. I mean, it's right there, right? Caernarvon, the other Caernarvon, the object. It's not M4. It's not quite M4 or T26 levels, but it's also pretty well angled. That's the upper plate as far as I'm aware. Speed is decent. I'll show you that when we get into the replay. All right, it's not the fastest thing you ever saw, but it gets you where you need to go. It's right up there with the rest of them at around 35 to 36, so that's all good. And concealment is, it's a heavy. It's not going to be super concealed. V range at 380. Signal range is high for whatever reason. So there you go. A quick and down and dirty as far as the comparison goes on this thing. Let me give you one example of how this plays, and then you can get on to earning your own Action X. Okay, here's a replay of the Caernarvon Action X, just one for you to take a look at. You can see that dispersion is actually pretty decent right here. I come around, take a shot, miss. More so I didn't really have the reticle on him than anything against the gun. Plus it was a long range shot. But you can see this thing. Pretty cool. I've got one of the other, I've got the standard British camo on it on this one. Didn't realize I could actually put the Fear Not on it until this morning. I played this a few days ago. So we are here on, where are we? What is this called? Mountain Pass. Spawned into the northwest and headed over to the brawling corner down here. Middle tier. Got some tier 9s to deal with. Couple artillery, but I also know this thing is supposed to have some decent armor and really good hold down capability. So I'm sort of coveting getting to this spot right here and seeing if I can make it happen. Crosshair, Chi-Ri gets pieced me. Obviously, if you give side armor to a Chi-Ri, he's probably going to pin you. Look how fast that reload is. I mean, right away. Get right into the IS-3. Somewhere around 4 to 5 seconds by the time I've got all the equipment and everything on it. There's that armor. Chi-Ri puts one into me. Just pinning at will. Now I'm on to my gold right here. I'm carrying a liberal amount of gold. Look how fast that reload is. It's just dishing out shots. Not necessarily dishing out hammer blows, obviously, at 230 average, but just dishing out the shots, machine gunning people down, shooting twice for every time that the IS-3 shoots. Chi-Ri's gone. There's the IS. There's that knife. Look at that actually. Just point at it, zooms in real fast. It's already accurate to begin with. This stare is a big pain in my patukas the entire time. So I'm seeing this go down here. I'm thinking, hey, let's take this Action X around this corner and see if we can take down this IS-3 without getting too much damage from him. I'm just going to keep going. Look at that pin right there, right by him. Am I going to reload in time? He goes up. He can't get his gun to bear, and just right by. And unfortunately, I eat a big shot from the IS. But I kind of knew that was going to happen as I did that and pushed in on the IS-3. I avoid getting artied, which is a good thing. There's a Skoda T50. He will clip me out, so I don't want to just bull rush in on this guy. The armor won't handle him. And in a game earlier that I had with this thing, I ran into a 5100 who didn't have a lot of problem with regular AP, just punching through this thing over and over again. I bounced a couple, but overall it didn't have too much problem. And this stare just driving in front of me. I'm like, dude, get out of the way. Looking to get a piece of this IKV. There we go. Again, that accuracy is doing its thing. There's a JP up on the hill up there, so I back off. I'm basically a one-shot to that guy now. Although he hit me for 220, so he's clearly not using the big gun. There's also a Sturv, and that's the other guy I was worried about. I'm thinking, surely that Sturv's up in a bush up there. That's a miss. There goes the JP. So now I know where he was. I thought he was up top, but clearly he wasn't. He was down below. Cut across here in order to avoid the Sturv, who I think is up in the top two, but guess what? He's not. He's also down on the bottom. So that's actually good for us. It's harder to push them if they're up there on that hill. Come in here to help this Leopard, the Type 59. They're the ones who got the spot, so good on them for moving up. That actually kind of broke the dam open. I think everyone was thinking the same thing. Where are these TDs? Once the mediums got in and lit them up, it's pretty much over. The TDs don't have much of a chance at that point. There's the Sturv. That's just a plain old miss. Unusual. I was kind of surprised actually at that range with that gun. There's that bounce. Look at that. He does not bounce the second one though. He bounces the third one. So I bounce two and take one. But another shot. Look how accurate that is. You just move in, shoot, move back. That really increases the possibilities of a tank when the gun is that accurate as far as popping out and shooting goes. Look at that. You wouldn't be doing that kind of thing with, say, a D25T, the big 390, 122 millimeter that the Russians have. Now, you can do it. It's still an effective tactic, but you certainly would not expect to hit that much. And I'm just basically, at this point, I've learned that this is a very accurate gun, so I'm just shooting on the move quite a bit. Popping out and shooting, minimizing my exposure. So I blocked 1,000, got 1,300 assists. I think I get one more shot in here on maybe the artillery. I know he's back in that corner somewhere. I just don't know where. I'm kind of paying attention. All right, which guy am I going to get a shot on first? Can I get to the Skoda, or is somebody going to light up that artillery down there? I hear a big boom, and I'm thinking, well, that must be the artillery, but nope, don't see him. I'm not going to get there, so I turn thinking, yeah, that's kind of what I expected to see right there. And down he goes. And we end up with 2,800. 2,800 damage, 1,000 blocked, 1,300 assists. That was the third game I ever played in the tank. It's a solid all-around premium tank. And with that penetration, it should be a pretty darn good credit maker because you won't really need gold a whole bunch. I spammed it in this game because this was the test account that I have access to it, so I just loaded up a bunch of gold, and I hadn't played the tank very much, but I don't think any of those tanks I shot really needed me to push 2 on that today. So, pretty good tank, man. Pretty good tank. Well, all right, guys, that is it. It's Friday. I'm looking at about 6 a.m., so about 3 hours to get this thing started. Got the day off, so I am going to do a little bit of streaming, I think, today, grind out a little bit of the Action X Marathon, the British Challenge, as they say. It's a good tank. I think if you can get it down to anywhere less than 50% off, or more than 50% off, I guess is what I'm saying, you're probably doing pretty well. So if you get, 70%, 80%, something like that, I would probably pull the trigger on that myself, provided you were in the market for a premium, because I think it's going to be a pretty darn good premium. I think it's at the top end of premiums, just based on the way it played the few times I played it and the numbers that it has. It's just not going to struggle like a lot of the premiums do, the preferential ones where they struggle with pen. It's simply not going to have that problem. You're going to be able to take that thing out and make a lot of credits with it. Obviously, if you have a bunch of premiums and you already have stuff to make credits, maybe it doesn't appeal. If you're a collector, it probably does appeal because you're looking for as many tanks as you can get. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably end up purchasing it if I can get it somewhere around 70% off or so. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to kill myself trying to do it. So happy Friday, guys. We'll see you out there.